Hi friends, Valeria here from Chasing Paper, and today we are going to make something quite unique and fun. We are going to make magic color pockets. Now let me show what the magic color pockets are. So we are right here in one of my junk journals, and right here you can see a pocket with a very pretty black and white rose and a writing tag tucked inside the pocket. Well, let's see what happens when I pull out this writing tag. Beautiful, isn't it? As if by magic, when I remove my writing tag out of this pocket, the rose all of a sudden becomes red with pretty green leaves. So the color magically appears. And when I put this tag back inside, well, the color disappears again and we are back to black and white. This is really fun. Here is another example. Same thing, different picture. Another rose. And the color magically appears and disappears. Now, the slider pockets as a concept been used for years by card makers. But I noticed that junk journaling community is not really using this. And that's a shame because I just think it's very effective and a beautiful and a quite simple and fun process to make this. So what I did, I adopted the process of making this for something that we can use as junk journalers. We are going to get right to it and make some magic color pockets. So I'm starting with just a standard size paper. The size here doesn't really matter, but what matters is choosing what size pocket do you want to make. And the easiest way to choose what size pocket you're going to make is probably to make the right size pocket to fit your stamp that you're going to use. So this black and white picture here, that's just a rubber stamp. First thing you want to do is to choose the stamp that you are going to work with. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. A good stamp would be any stamp that has a lot of area that you can color. See how there's kind of a lot of white area on all these stamps? So all these stamps would be a good choice. Once you stamp it onto your white paper, you can just color it in any colors you like, and you're gonna end up with a pretty picture. Pretty and colorful, just like that. Well, so all of these would be good examples. Now let's talk about some examples of rubber stamps that are not so good for this project. For example, these two are really pretty and I really like these stamps, but they wouldn't be good for this project because there's just a lot of like black area, and so your finished result is not going to be as stark of a difference and not as effective as any of these. So now that we covered that, let's choose a stamp we're going to work with. And I am actually choosing this stamp. This is fun. I like how it's rectangular and I didn't work with it yet for this particular project, so I think I'm going to give it a try. So like I said, we are going to begin with just a standard size of paper, and for this particular stamp I already figured that I want to make a pocket about the size of 4 by 5.5. That's going to give me just enough room in my window to fit this stamp. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my scrapbook paper in half. I'm keeping my fold on the left side and I'm making sure that my printed side is on the outside and my white side on the inside. One thing I should mention that for this project you absolutely have to go with the scrapbook paper that has one printed side and one white side. Actually, it's not even necessary that you use scrapbook paper. You can use plain white paper, but you just have to make sure that you have a paper that has the one side is white, at least one side is white, and that's the side that you're going to put inside when you fold your paper. Now, one other important thing to remember is that if I need a pocket size 4 by 5.5, I need to start with my size of a folded paper. I have to add 1/2 inch to each one of those dimensions, okay? So for a 4 by 5.5 pocket, I'm going to start with the paper of 4.5 by 6. It's going to make sense in a minute. So I'm just adding 1/2 inch to both of my dimensions. So let me mark 4.5 right here and 6 right here. Now I'm going to use my paper cutter to cut at those dimensions that I just marked. There. So now I have my folded paper with my fold on the left, and the dimensions are 4.5 by 6. Beautiful. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/2 inch on this side and fold just about 1/2 inch. I'm not going to measure, I'm just eyeballing it. 1/2 inch, straight fold, done. Opening it up. Doing the same thing on the bottom now. 1/2 inch fold. Just about 1/2 inch fold. Just like that. Done. Perfect. Now I'm going to grab my trusty scissors. And right here I'm going to cut a little angle up to my folded line. This is what I'm doing. This is going to help me create my pocket. There. Now the back flaps, I won't be needing those, so I'm going to just cut them off. There. Actually, it's gonna make it easier for me to cut. Gonna make a little angle cut here and continue snipping off my excess paper. All done. So this is going to be your pocket when you're done. Next thing I'm going to do is I need to make a window here. So my window, or you can call it a frame, my frame is going to be approximately 1/2 inch wide, I would say. Okay, so you may go anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch. That seemed to be like a good dimension, but of course it's completely optional. So I'm going to open my makeshift pocket and I'm working on my left side now. I'm not touching my right side. On my left side, on the inside, on the white side of my paper, I'm going to draw my frame. For that, I'm going to find 1/2 inch from the top. There's my 1/2 inch from the top, and I am going to draw a parallel line. Don't worry about drawing on the left side of the paper. Nobody is going to see it ever again once you close the pocket. Just make sure not to make any marks on your right side. Okay, but the left side is good. So I'm continuing from the fold on the bottom. I'm also marking 1/2 inch. And I'm making another line parallel with my fold. Just like that. Now I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the inside fold. There, done. And the left side of the frame, this long fold, I'm going to measure 1/2 inch from the long fold, and I'm going to draw my line. Again, I'm making sure that the line is going parallel to the folded line. There. And this white area inside, we are going to use a craft knife and cut it out to make a window. I'm bringing in my X-Acto knife and my metal ruler. And here we really do need to be careful, and we really need to make sure that we are as precise as we can be, because you do not want to cut into your frame. Remember, it's going to be visible on the outside, so just be careful, take your time, go slow. And I'm cutting a straight line using my ruler exactly up to this point. I'm not going past. That's good. So one cut is made. Making the second cut. Again, I'm working slowly. I do not want to cut into my frame. So second side is done. My third side. Slow and steady. And my last cut right here. Fingers crossed. We're almost done. There you go. We cut out our little rectangle here. And here's our pocket. Look at that. That was fun and that was easy, right? Isn't it perfect? Let me just use a bone folder to make sure it lies flat. As you can see, we have this perfect frame now, about 1/2 inch on each side. Now we are in need of a stamp, and we're going to stamp this white area right here. So if you already selected your stamp and you're ready to stamp it, you need to open your pocket again, and of course you're going to work on this side. Well, since it's hard for you to guess where exactly you're going to stamp this area, here's the little trick I use. Just close that pocket and mark very lightly the corners of your frame. This is going to give you a clue. This will give you an idea on where to place your stamp when you are ready to stamp it. Okay. And today I am going to use my StazOn ink. This is one of my favorite inks for stamping when I'm not only going to stamp paper, but when I'm stamping on fabric or transparency film, which is what we're going to do today. So I'm just going to use StazOn in Jet Black. You want to have a very smooth and hard area. I'm not a stamping expert by any means. I'm just using this pad, by the way, just as a hard, smooth area, because I do have some glue on my cotton mat. So that won't work. Now, let's see. This is probably a smoother side, so I'm gonna go with that. And I am going to apply some of this StazOn ink to my stamp. All right, I'm doing a very generous application. And now I'm gonna go as straight as I can. I'm finding my placement in the middle. And I'm putting my stamp down. There. Pressing it firmly, but not moving my stamp. Lifting it off That's beautiful. Very nice. I'm happy with the result. We have a nice even stamp on the first try. Does it always happen on the first try? Most of the time if you have a nice hard surface, but if you smudged, because things happen, if you smudged or if a part of your stamp didn't quite stamp well, what you can do is you can come in with another piece of white paper. Well, unfortunately I have some some paper lines, but you would do another piece of white paper, you stamp on that and you glue it right here. Okay, so that's an easy fix, just in case it did not come out perfectly well. So I no longer need my pencil marks right here, so I'm going to erase them right now, so don't forget to do it later. So this part is done. Next, I'm going to bring in transparencies that I'm going to work with. Now, this is just something I picked up in a thrift shop. This is transparency film for inkjet printers. And there's a whole box here. Apparently it's by Apollo. Really, brand doesn't matter. This used to be really popular with the teachers. Used to use them before the smart boards came along. Now it's pretty much old technology, and you can find them at the thrift shop close to nothing if you're lucky. If not, you could probably pay just a little more on Amazon or eBay. But here's what it looks like. It's basically a transparent film. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it just about the size of the pocket. I'm going to cut a small rectangle out of it. I don't have to be very precise here just yet. So I marked with my pen, with my Sharpie pen, the corners of my pocket, and I'm just cutting it to size. There. Now, I'm going to double check, and I'm going to try and place my stamp in the center of this transparency that I just cut. Again, I'm applying some StazOn ink. And this is a little trickier because this is not as easy as stamping on paper, but you can do it. Ready? We are placing it down. No smudging. Don't even breathe. Okay. Applying even pressure and lift off. There. Turns out really good. I like that. Next thing you're going to do is match up these two pictures. Just like that. Because it's the exactly same stamp that you used, you will be able to match them up easily. See, I'm sliding my transparency on top of my pocket until they match exactly, just like that. There, that's perfect. Now, as you can see, I have a little bit of transparency hanging off on the side here. I don't like that. So I'm going to mark it right here and here so that I can cut off my excesses. Using my scissors, so you can use your paper cutter. Again, these sides, they don't have to be perfect, but we want to get the size as close as possible. Next thing we need is a double-sided tape. So I'm working with EdTech Crafters permanent tape. This is really sticky, And I'm going to apply this tape onto inside of my frame. Inside of my frame. Let me just move this aside for now so it doesn't get in the way. So again, we're not touching these folded flaps. We're applying the tape inside of the frame as close to the window as possible, but we're not going over that cut line. So as close to the window as we can, but making sure it's not sticking out inside the window. We apply the tape on each side. Very carefully. I'm taking my time. Taking my time here. That's my last side. And it's done. There. Now, this is the interesting part of this project. Now, you really want to match up your picture in your pocket with the picture and your transparency. That's what we were doing before. We're just gonna do it again. There you go. This is really good. This is as good as it's going to get. They're matched up exactly and perfectly. Now remember, we have the tape here on this side. What we're going to do now is we are going to hold our transparency very firmly on top of our picture. Do not let it move. Do not let it slide. We are going to close this pocket ever so gently, and we'll let the tape catch our transparency. I'm not letting go with my right hand. I'm just holding it down firmly. There we go. And now our pocket is closed. So now what happens when I open this pocket is transparency stays on the left side and our picture remains on the right side. Very cool, right? And they match up perfectly well when you close your pocket. The next step is really fun if you like coloring. I personally love to color, so you can use your Copic markers or any regular markers. I just like Copic markers because they blend so well. But really, you can use whatever you have, whatever you want, crayons, pencils. I am going to use my Prismacolor pencils to just color in this picture on the white paper. I'm going to use a lighter pink, closer to the center, and maybe a little bit of yellow, just to give it like some dimension and some shade. There. And then I'm going to use red for the petals. I might even finish this off camera. And there we go, friends. As you can see, I finished coloring this picture. This is what we have. I think it looks really pretty. And so far I'm really happy. We are almost done. Now let's finish up this project. We are going to close the pocket. In order to do that, we're going to use some Scotch Create glue. It's a glue stick. It's really sticky. I'm just using this as a glue mat. And I am putting some glue on the white flaps right here. My pocket is now getting closed. Make sure to hold it flat as you glue these flaps down. So I did my side flap first. Now I'm doing my bottom flap. It doesn't really matter. You could start with the bottom flap and then do your side flap. Makes no difference. There. I close my glue stick. Don't want it to dry out. There's our pocket. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, as you can see, we're missing an essential part. To make it a magic color, we still need to put our white paper inside. And so for that, I'm going to make our writing tag. I'm just using cardstock. You can choose any cardstock, but remember that one side has to be white. And the other side, I just prefer to have like not a very busy pattern. So this one is perfect for me because you can write on it. I like things in my junk journal to be functional. So you should be able to write in the back of your card. This pattern is perfect. So now I'm just going to quickly measure. I'm not going to use a ruler or anything like that. I'm just going to measure it to my pocket. This is how wide it needs to be. Remember, just make it about 1/8 of an inch smaller than your pocket. So this is how wide, and let's see. Yep, it's tall enough. That's good. So I'm going to cut right here. Using my paper cutter and cutting on the line. Let's see if it fits. White side goes to the front. You're going to put your white side inside the pocket. And there you go. Things are working. Nice and smooth. So again, you can use any cardstock, but make sure it's something heavier and thicker than a regular printer paper, because otherwise you'll have trouble putting it in and out. I like that. Now, to make it look like a tag, I'm going to make a hole on the top. For that, I'm going to use my hole punch. I'm going to choose my middle. Again, I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it. That looks pretty good. There's my hole. Now I'm going to add reinforcer label. And I have a video in the works that shows how I make all these colorful ones. These are really fun. Let me add another reinforcer label to the back. There. Do I want to cut corners? Yes, why not? Let's just cut corners right here. That's one. And that's two. All set. And I'm also going to add a ribbon on top. How about this green one? Yes, I like that. Maybe I'm just going to add a little green ribbon. Topper. Just going to make one simple knot. Now remember, the white side is your front side. It helps to remember. And you do not want to put any color or writing or not even ink on your white side, because it would take away from the effect of this magic color as you slide in your tag in and out. So there is my topper. I'm going to cut the ends. There. Simple enough. Simple and pretty. And I am putting it in. And there you go. So here's our beautiful magic color pocket. It's done. It's almost ready to go into your junk journal. It functions properly. And I just feel like it needs a little sparkle on the side. Completely optional, but I'm going to use jewel border stickers from Dollar Tree. These are fun. These just are so easy, and they just add that something extra on the side. So I'm going to peel a short strip about the length of the side of my frame, and I'm going to cut it to size right here. That's probably the hardest part in this whole project, is cutting these sticky jewels, because they always try to stick to my fingers. But anyway, we are done with that now, and I'm placing this strip partially on the frame and partially on my transparency. I just feel like it adds a dimension and looks really nice. But again, this step is completely optional. This is just what I showed you in my prototype in a different color. And so now there we have it. It just adds a little extra to our pocket. There, that's beautiful. And now let's see what it would look like in your junk journal. So you choose a page where you think it would look nice, and you would glue it right here or on the other page, wherever you feel it fits best. There, once it's glued, your tag will be coming out easily, and it's easy to put it back in, and you're ready to write on the back side of your tag. There. So here you go, friends. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and please share this video with a friend. It will really help my growing YouTube channel. And I can't wait to share more ideas with you. Have a great day and happy junk journaling!